Hi, my name's Patty Thompson. I'm an assistant professor at Finger Lakes Community College in the Conservation Department. And I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about some of the work that we do in the Canandaigua Lake watershed. And of course, I have to start by saying that none of this work would be possible without the kinds of partnerships that we have. And these partnerships can be really powerful at getting work done. So I brought you down to Fallbrook Stream, which is on our campus here in Canandaigua. And you're looking at a what's called a Mayfly data logger system. And we're monitoring the stream level here in Fallbrook. This is one of the tributaries that flows into Canandaigua Lake. And we bring students out here and talk to them about how we can monitor water quality in the streams that flow into Canandaigua Lake. And so we use this as an educational piece. This was funded and given to us by the Finger Lakes Institute. So there's one of our first examples of partnerships. The water that flows in through the tributaries into Canandaigua Lake, we also have a program with the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council to monitor the in-lake characteristics in the summertime. So we go out monthly and monitor, we've been doing it for 25 years now. We monitor the water quality in the lake as well as some of our work in the streams. And another thing we're excited about and a partnership that's important to us is with the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association. So we received some funding last year from the Ontario County Water Resource Council to do some new work this year to look at smaller tributaries that come into Canandaigua Lake. So this one is a pretty large one, this Fallbrook. It doesn't look large now, but this time of year we haven't had a lot of rain. And in our other work with the Watershed Association and with funding through the Watershed Council, we are looking at nutrients that are coming in through those tributaries. So this year we got a little skunked with our project because we didn't have much rain, and we're really focused on what happens during the rain events. So we'll probably carry this project over into next year. But I just wanted to highlight for you today that the partnerships are really important for monitoring water quality. It takes a village, right, to take care of a watershed. Here at Finger Lakes Community College are really excited about bringing students out into it and using these real-world examples to help students understand how watersheds work and how we can collect data that can be useful in making decisions about improving watershed quality. In Pennsylvania, there's a group called the Stroud Water Research Center. They're an internationally known research group that does watershed research, stream research especially, all around the world. And they've designed this kit that you can build yourself. So you have a miniature motherboard in there with a solar panel that charges a battery, and there's a data chip attached to the motherboard that stores the data that it's receiving from the sensors. So there's a cord attached to this, and there's a sensor planted in the stream that's detecting the pressure of the water, the weight of the water above that sensor, as well as the temperature and the conductivity in the stream. And so we can calibrate that pressure number that we measure with the sensor to some known measurements about how much water is flowing at the time at different pressures. And we use that rating curve to calculate the flow of water throughout the year. All right, so we thought we'd bring you in a little closer so you can see what the sensors look like that are actually in the stream. So we use some, your general hardware store supplies to build this, but there's a rebar bar in here, and it's actually a pretty long bar. So we've got that hammered in pretty deep into the substrate. And it's one of those type of rebar bars that has holes in it. And so we've got a piece of PVC that's hose clamped to our sensor. And then there's a piece of wire that holds it in place. And it can weather, it actually stays out here all year round and can weather some pretty heavy storms. And so we get really good data from it. The cable runs up the bank into the instruments that are up at the top. And so it's a pretty simple setup. And the cool thing about it too is, since it's kind of a DIY system, you can choose other sensors that monitor different aspects of water quality that you'd be interested in. Again, I wanted to mention too, the Finger Lakes Institute Their watershed manager, Ian Smith, is an expert in this, and he helped us to get all of these systems set up.